Okay, so I'm reading the Bible for the first time, and I have to talk about it because it's just absolutely batshit. This is my recap of Judges Part 1. If you want to see the first 6 books, I guess, those are already on my page. The first note I have is that they, were randomly cutting off kings' thumbs and big toes all the time, and I don't know why, I've never heard of this before. They're doing a lot of weird things with kings that I feel like should have more cultural significance, but it doesn't add up to me. Anyways, the Israelites kind of get into this toxic cycle with God where they forget God, then they're oppressed, then they cry to God, then God takes them back. Then they forget about God again, then they're oppressed, then they cry, and God takes them back. So just know that that's the premise of pretty much the entire book of Judges, is this cycle. And it's rinse and repeat, okay? So finally, we get Deborah, my girl. I was so excited to see Deborah. Deborah is a queen, and Deborah is a prophet. And they say this in no uncertain terms. They say Deborah is a prophet. And so I'm rocking with Deborah. I'm excited to see her. And basically, they come to her and they're like, hey, can you help us take down these people oppressing us? And she's like, I can, but what I want you guys to know is that when I do, it will be because God gave this all to me, and I'm a woman. Me as a woman, me and God, we're like this, okay? And then she sings a song, and there's peace in the land for 40 years. But what was really disappointing to me is that I was like, oh my God, Deborah, woman, prophet, yay. Her section of the Bible is this big. This big. It's probably as big as these notes, honestly. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay, Moses. 4 books. Joshua gets a book. But Deborah, she doesn't get shit. What the hell? Okay, so they pissed me off. More oppression. That was great. Lots of oppression. And then we get back to the crying stage of the cycle where the Israelites are crying out, and God goes to this guy Gideon, and he's like, yo, Gideon, you need to be the one responsible for saving everybody. I'm gonna have you be in charge of the army to go take care of all this business. And Gideon's like, oh, I'm weak. My tribe, we don't have it. We do not have what you want. We're not going to be able to take care of this. And God is like, don't worry, I got you. I was like, where have I heard this story before? Oh yeah, Moses. So then I'm like, why does God keep choosing these people that he knows are not strong, can't do it? Oh, I'm about to find out. And I'm about to find out exactly why. So Gideon, this whole thing is so weird. This book is so weird. I felt like I was on drugs. So he has this group of 22,000 men in his army, and God is like, okay, if you have this many people, then they're not going to know it was me that did it. They're just going to say, okay, he had so many men. Which I'm like, oh, that's why he's choosing these dumb, weak people, because he needs to be it was me, he's they have to be kind of stupid and pathetic so that everybody knows that I put it in them, So God goes, he's like, this is way too many people. Tell all the people that are scared that they can go. 12,000 people leave. So there's still 10,000 people remaining to fight in this war. God's like, still too much. So he says, Gideon, take them to this body of water. Have them, tell them to go drink from it. If anybody laps like a dog from the water, they can stay in the army. But if people get down on their knees like normal people and scoop it up from their hands like a normal person, they're gone. They're out. So, of course, only 300 people do the dog lapping thing. And so only 300 people get to stay. But I'm like, why did God want them to do that? Was he just I need complete freaks rolling with me so that everybody knows it was me? Or is he I want people that are animalistic, beasts. I want people that have that dog in them, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of how does this make sense? Can't make a sense out of it, but nevertheless, I persist in my journey to read this. So 300 men, they succeed. Then he dies. Then Israel's abandoned God again, blah, blah, blah. We're back to the crying stage. The Israelites are crying again because they need God. And he goes, oh, well, since you love your other gods so much, go call them. You only call me when you need me, when you're in a time of dire need, and then otherwise I'm out. This is what you wanted. I'm not here for it. Okay? But then enter Jephthah. I guess that's how you say his name. I'm not going to look it up. Jephthah, he is born to a guy from Gilead. And his dad is from Gilead, but his mom is a sex worker. And his, like, half-brothers and sisters who are born from his dad's wife, they're like, you have to get out of here. Like, we do not like that your mom is a sex worker. We don't like that our dad stepped out on our mom, so you have to go scram. So he goes, and he, like, doesn't have anybody, and it says, like, there are these scoundrels following him. And he becomes a gangster. Like, he's like, listen, I didn't choose this life chose me, so I'm rocking with it. So the Gileads go to Jephthah, and they're like, okay, wait, we're gonna want you back. We need you to go fight the Ammonites because they're oppressing us. And Jephthah is like, well, what do I get out of it? Like, kind of a raw deal for me. You guys kicked me out because my mom was a sex worker. Then you've seen how, like, strong and amazing I am, and now you want me to help you, even though you kind of, like, shunned me. And they're like, okay, you can be our mayor, like, you can, like, run the land. He says, okay, and he goes to God, and he's like, okay, God, if you help me win this, I will give you a burnt offering sacrifice when I get back from the war. Whatever is on my doorstep when I get back from the war, I will give to you in a burnt offering sacrifice. Okay. He wins. He comes back. Who comes out of his front door but his only daughter? His only daughter. He's torn up. He's screaming, he's crying, he's throwing up. He's literally ripping his clothes off. He's like, this sucks ass. This is my only daughter. This is horrible. Like, how am I supposed to maintain this vow to God? And the daughter's like, oh, it's fine. Like, you made this promise. It's whatever. All that I ask is that you give me 2 months. I just need 2 months because I want to go roam in the hills with my friends and weep because I'm not ever going to get married. And he's like, okay, you can go roam in the hills and weep with your friends. And I just love that. Like, they're just roaming and weeping. And apparently this is like a thing for the women in Israel of the time, the women of Israel at the time, is that they're supposed to go out to honor her, to, like, roam and weep in the hills. Honestly, kind of fucking vibe. And then he fights another tribe, kills 42,000 people, leads Israel, and then he dies. And part 2 is, like, so fucking good, actually. Okay, so I'll post part 2. Bye.